What's a terrible movie that you still love because you loved it as a kid? Toy Soldiers with Sean Astin and Will Wheaton LOL. So cringe, but I was a middle schooler with big dreams of saving my school from a terrorist attack LOL. Waterworld. I've only heard bad things from everyone in the world about this movie, but I just loved it and always will. Rock-a-Doodle. I have it on DVD and have tried to subject my nibblings to it, but they are resistant to Chanticleer's charms, LOL. I also named my garden owl Decoy the Grand Duke, though nobody outside my older sister gets the reference. Deep Blue Sea. Thought it was the most thrilling movie ever at 10-ish. Watched it a few times as a kid and loved it. Recently watched it again in my late 20s and realized it's beyond terrible, LMAO, face with tears of joy. Three Ninjas. Iron Eagle 1986. Rip Louis Gossett Jr., just died today. Macaulay Culkin's The Page Master makes me feel nostalgic. Mortal Kombat. Sky High. Armageddon. It's not a fully terrible movie, only the story and plot are. Great dialogue and cast, pretty good effects. You know what, never mind. It's amazing. Ben Stiller's finest work, Heavyweights. The Last Dragon. I must watch that movie 1,000 times. Spice World. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. I was an adult before I realized it's regarded as terrible. I'll always have a soft spot for it. I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but I genuinely enjoy Jingle All the Way. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger racing around for a Turbo Man action figure and Sinbad adding to the chaos. It's the epitome of holiday commercialism gone mad, and yet there's something so captivating about the ridiculousness of it all. Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Spy Kids. Robert Rodriguez is really good at pulling from kids' imaginations. Yeah, they're cheesy, but I thought the weapons and locations were the coolest things ever. Master of Disguise. It's objectively terrible, but I just love it. People said that it was bad, but I liked it. Lorax. I remember going home after the cinema and drawing those fluffy trees. I really wanted to touch those cotton trees. The Lost in Space movie from 1998. It's a mixed bag tonally, and some of the SFX are clearly unfinished and the ending of the story is not great. But I love the designs and aesthetics. The acting and dialogue is fun, and I really liked Matt LeBlanc playing a Han Solo-ish, smarmy pilot. I feel like if it had been completed and released during the grittier, darker reboot era, it would have been more successful. Biodome. Pauly Shore ruled back then. Space Jam. It's a bizarre mashup of basketball and cartoons, but as a kid, it was pure cinematic magic. Sausage Party. Don't tell mom the babysitter's dead. The dishes are done, man. I can't say whether or not it was actually horrible, but I've been told it sucked before. Final Fantasy, The Spirits Within. Probably the most beautiful animated film I've ever seen, and I didn't think the story was bad at all. The voice acting was great. The live-action Flintstones movie. All the grandkids would watch that movie when we stayed at my grandma's house. Last Thanksgiving went over there, and even though all of us grandkids are in our 20s now, we still ran upstairs to go watch it. This is when we found out that she threw away the movie and the VHS player. Chaos ensued, and she bought a new VHS player and the Flintstones movie for us for Christmas. Krull. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I have nightmares almost every night. The first one I can remember is from watching this movie. Nobody remembers this. https://www.youtube.com/watch?v=01d6e0s2cug. Banger. We're back. A Dinosaur's Story. Teen Witch. Top that. Overboard. I don't know if it's considered a terrible movie, maybe mid at best, but I love The Shadow. Jerry Goldsmith's RIP score enhanced that movie. And I think Alec Baldwin really sold that role. Third Jurassic Park movie. The Boondock Saints is not a terrible movie, but most would agree it's really not that good either. I saw it when I was a teenager and I loved the badassery of going after criminals. And the diner scene is still great. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Yeah, the first one is leagues better, but when I was 5 it was my jam. So much so that when I caught it on TV last year I knew every line of dialogue and how it was delivered. 30 years later and it was still hardwired into my brain. Batman and Robin is my guilty pleasure. Yes, it's packed with cheesy one-liners and over-the-top performances, but it's also the movie that introduced me to the world of Gotham. I can't help but love it for the nostalgia and the fact that it never takes itself too seriously. Wild Wild West is my choice. It's a film that many love to hate, but the blend of Western and steampunk elements, combined with Will Smith's charm, made it an unforgettable part of my childhood movie collection. Bit niche but blank check for me. I know it was the 90s, but even then he managed to spend about 100 million with a million. The Wizard. Traveling to California and funding your journey by hustling elderly businessmen at Super Mario Bros. Seemed a lot more plausible when I was 10. Only because other people say they're terrible. The Waterboy. Dogma. Last Action Hero. Good Burger. Drop Dead Fred.